Hello everybody, this is Zoe from No Safer Place, and today I am here with one of my Worth the Hype videos. If you're not familiar with my Worth the Hype videos, I take a book that has a lot of hype surrounding it and tell you if I think it is worthy. I did a Worth the Hype video for the first book in this series, and now we are here with the second. The first one was so well received and I really didn't think that I would get a proof this time, but I did. I finished it in 3 hours. I then wrote 4 pages of notes, so I feel like you may already have an idea of what I think of this book. So let's jump right into it. The book I am talking about today is A Heart So Fierce and Broken. I have pretty much reviewed all of Bridget's books. I think she's absolutely amazing, but this series is the ultimate for me. If you watched my first video of the review of A Curse So Dark and Lonely, you will know that I absolutely adored it. It was literally one of my favourite books of all time. If you haven't heard of it, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is the sequel. Can we just appreciate how beautiful this proof is? It came wrapped with a little key at the front, and then you open it and then the proof is inside. Like, it's beautiful. I get real Slytherin vibes from this cover, and as a hardcore Slytherin, I'm living for it. But anyway, let's get on with the video. Just a quick note, if you haven't read A Curse So Dark and Lonely, there will be huge spoilers in this review of the first book. So if you have read the first book, or you haven't read the first book but still want to be spoiled, you can continue watching this video. So this book kind of picks up exactly where we left off. We are being showed the events or the aftermath of the curse being broken. At the end of book 1, again, massive spoiler for book 1, we learned that Grey was the half-brother of Prince Ren and a potential heir of Emberfall, which was just like the biggest shock and cliffhanger I have ever known in a book. This book is a lot more focused on Grey. So we have Team Grey or Team Ren, or maybe you're in the middle and like both of them. I was 100% ride or die Team Ren. This book shows you a lot more about Grey's life and tells you about his backstory, but I'll tell you something, I am still ride or die Team Ren. So as I say, this book is told a lot more from Grey's perspective. There are a lot more chapters about Grey. Grey is on the run and is now known as Hawke. As he works a normal kind of run-of-the-mill job, he is trying to keep on the down low and keep a low profile because Ren is out looking for the other potential heir. Not knowing, of course, that it is his ex-best friend, Grey. I will say, if you are Team Grey, you will probably want to marry this book because it has so much Grey content. Obviously, I absolutely adored it, but the lack of Ren kind of just broke my heart a tiny little bit because he is one of my favourite characters ever created, and after waiting like almost a year since I read the first proof, I just was like needing more Ren in my life. But saying that, by the end of the book I actually liked Grey a hell of a lot more than when I started. So, and talking of the whole Team Ren and Team Grey rift, I know that Team Ren is highly unpopular. I maybe know a handful of people that are Team Ren, but the dynamic she had created between Ren and Grey in this book gave me real Vampire Diaries vibes, especially because I always go for the underdog. So of course I always loved Stefan more than Damon, just like I will always love Ren more than Grey. That is the kind of vibes it gave me for, especially when they were revealed to be half brothers. I was like, real Vampire Diary vibes. And whilst we are talking about Ren, although he is barely in this book, when he does appear, he makes some real questionable decisions. And I was even starting to doubt him myself. Would still support him no matter what, but the reader starts to wonder whether he has changed. And then the ending happens. We hadn't heard from him for hundreds of pages, and it got to the end and there was Ren chapter and I didn't see it coming at all. Obviously absolutely no spoilers, but if you're a Ren fan, hold out to that last chapter because it will hit you right in the feels, and then you're left with another cliffhanger just like you were at the end of book 1. I just realised I'm like 7 minutes into this video and I haven't really spoken about the story apart from said that it focuses on Grey a lot. I knew this was going to be like a complete shambles and excited rambling of the book, but let's get back to the story. As I say, mainly told by Grey, it is also told by a new character called Leah Mara. 2 words, not Leah Mara, Leah Mara. Now, considering Leah Mara is a new character, you learn who she is and feel very connected to her really early on. It usually takes me a good 50 pages of a character coming in for me to start to connect to them, but I felt like from the first chapter she was very easy to connect to. So Leah Mara is the daughter of the Queen of Shallow. I don't know how to pronounce that. I am gonna leave the name of it here. You tell me how to pronounce it. I am so bad with pronouncing things. But yes, she is the daughter of the Queen of one of the bordering places of Emberfall. She may be the daughter of the Queen, but she is not the heir, and that is important to remember throughout the book. So Grey is obviously on the run. He is then captured by Ren, and we start to wonder where Grey's loyalties really lie. And as he starts to get closer to Leah Mara, who is obviously on the opposing side of Emberfall, we start to wonder if his allegiance to Ren may just be shifting. Ren is just portrayed in such a bad light in this book, and I just feel like I need to defend him at all costs. He does some truly bad things in this book though, and my heart just goes out to Grey. I'm sorry, Grey, but I'm still not on your side. But I can't really say too much more about the plot than that. Just that Grey is on the run, Ren is trying to find Grey and the other potential heir, and a lot of shit goes down. Let's just leave it at that. The new characters are absolutely brilliant. Obviously, I've already spoken a little bit about Leah Mara, absolutely adore her. And then Grey's new right-hand man is called Taicho. He is loyal, he is kind. He's just a real warm-hearted, genuine character that this book needed. I feel like he's a real comfort blanket in this book. He is the one that you always go back to if you want to feel safe and secure. And yeah, I loved him. Another new character, who is possibly my second favourite character only to Ren, is Isaac. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Isaac, but you know, I get names wrong. We've all established that by now. But he is a Scarver, which is like a winged creature. And you guys know that I am a huge fan of creatures. He is bloody magnificent. He is funny, he is witty. He also doesn't reveal what he's really doing there and what his true intentions are until much later on in the book, and he actually gets a much bigger story than I was expecting, and I absolutely adored it. So the new characters that I've just mentioned, they form a highly unlikely team, along with some old familiar faces. No spoilers, not going to tell you who shows up, but we do have some old familiar faces that pop up and join this team that are on the run. As I say, I can't say much more, but I feel like this book is really about Grey choosing which side he is going to fight on. Obviously, we know that a war is approaching. We're not sure when it's going to happen. We're not sure who's going to be involved, but this is Ren choosing really if he's going to stand with Emberfall or not. Although when I read A Curse So Dark and Lonely, it felt really action-packed and fast-paced, now that I've read A Heart So Fierce and Broken, in comparison, the first book feels so much more traditional, I guess, and a lot calmer. Because obviously the first book was the Beauty and the Beast retelling, the second book is kind of, although we've got the same characters, just completely straying away from that story. And yeah, it's just, it packs a punch, this book. It is much more action-packed than the first. I didn't think that was possible either. As I say, I didn't think it could get more fast-paced, but apparently it can. There are so many shocks, betrayals, revelations. We as the reader do not know who to trust. Even characters that we trusted implicitly in the first book, we start doubting them in this book and wonder what the hell is going down. I was getting real A Court of Thorn and Roses vibes from this book, you know, before A Court of Thorn and Roses got crap. You know, where we're not sure who we are supposed to like, who we are supposed to trust, and if we are even liking the right person. I got that massively when I was reading A Court of Thorn and Roses, and I got it massively when reading this book. So if you're a fan of A Court of Thorn and Roses, you will definitely love this. As I mentioned earlier, Gray really grew on me in this book. He really is such a likable character. In the first book, I found him a little bit too good and a little bit too chivalrous, but there's a lot more rugged side of Gray in this book, which I really liked. Just a lot more rougher and a lot less good, which I really, really liked. And it is nice to learn more about him and his motives, especially as the first book focused so heavily on Harper and Wren. I mean, Harper, I think she maybe gets like 1 or 2 chapters. She is barely in this at all, like even less than Wren. There is lots of violence, there is lots of blood, and I feel like even more love than the first. It is interwoven in such a way that you don't even realise that it's going on, but it is happening. No spoilers, but there is love on the horizon for a few of our characters. One of the things I love most about this book, which makes it so readable to me, is short, pacey chapters. It is a bit like James Patterson's books, who I absolutely love. He's an adult crime writer, but he always has short, pacey chapters that end with a cliffhanger, that leave you wanting to read more, and I think that makes the book so much more readable. I wish more authors / publishers would do this, because it is so much better to read. Gray's character development in this book is just insane. I have to comment on it because as someone who didn't particularly care for him in book 1, just the way that he has evolved, his personality evolving now that he has left the castle, it is something that I can only ever aspire to write like. It is so good. I feel like all of the characters are developed well, but obviously because we've known Gray so much from the first book, you can really see it with Gray. And let me talk about the gradual world building in books 1 and 2. I mean, it really is something to marvel at. Bridget does this amazing thing where she reveals just enough to keep you engaged, but leaves enough to keep you guessing and wanting more. So although we feel like we know so much about this world, in actuality, if you think of it and look at the map that's included in the book, we don't really know anything. There is so much more we have left to explore of this world, which is just so exciting. As I say, I finished it in 3 hours. It was completely unputdownable, and just bring on book 3. Thank you so much to Bloomsbury for sending me a proof of this. It was my most anticipated read of this year, and it completely did not disappoint. I would love to know if you are Team Gray or Team Wren and your reasons why, because I will fight to the death to stick up for Wren. So hit me with it, guys. I love opinions. Hit me with them. Or if you haven't read book 1, go out and read it. It's amazing. This book comes out the 7th of January 2020. It seems like a while away, but it will be here before you know it. It is the perfect book to treat yourself to after Christmas. This series is just everything. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, subscribe, all that usual good stuff. Also, if you like this video, you can turn on the notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos, which is usually every Tuesday and every Saturday. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you'd like to see more of on my channel, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.